This is our first morning camp on the woodlines. We're in an area where Steve and I explored a couple of years ago. There is a railway line in front of me, and there's the track goes down there a little bit. I've just found an old bottle, and last night while we were looking at Captain Starlink, we discovered that about 3 k's away is an unusual shape in the bush on an old woodline. So our plan looks like it is going to walk to that, because there's no road track there, and we shall see what we will find. Hopefully it will be something very interesting.
As usual, the crossing of the rabbit-proof fence is the start of the bush. We had no real plan for this trip other than to head east. We had lunch at the bakery in Hyden and decided to revisit a track we had used last year but never fully explored. This would take us from the disused Hyden Road to Sunday Soak, where there are 2 graves I had rediscovered nearly 20 years ago.
We're just coming up to the turn-off to go to our secret location now. Roger that. Yeah, copy that.
We're on the road again, and we're looking to find our first camp for the night on this old track. No one's been here for a little while. Let's see what we see.
There are still many sections of the bush that are slowly recovering from the bushfires more than 2 years ago. Camp setup doesn't take long. We don't have our wives with us, so it is simply camp stretchers under the stars. The latest gadget is Starlink RV. Not much impresses me these days, but this really does. A small cooking fire for our jaffles completes our setup as the moon rises.
What are you going up this for?
That's not one.
Last night we were able to use Starlink to view Google Earth, where we found an unusual shape next to the abandoned railway. It was so odd it formed the plan for the next day to walk the 3.2 kilometres to find it. Walking in the scrub is longer than the straight route, as there are many detours around obstacles. And this time I used a compass and followed a bearing to the spot, counting paces as I did to work out the distance.
It's in reasonable nick too. Good bike track.
Sort of expected that. A couple of Holbrook sauce bottles here, sort of going slightly purple.
Walking these old woodcutter camps certainly gets the steps up for the day as we look around at the rubbish left behind in the hopes of finding a treasure.
This is the track.
Is it? Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is the track. I know it's the track because dog spikes don't grow in the bush.
Let me explain that metal thing I found just over there. Looked like a hook.
Yeah, right, and here's a crossing. Just there. And a whole pile of clinker.
It must have been working here for food, but like.
Yeah.
Like the hooks that sort of.
Join the railway together. This is something pretty odd that we've not seen in the past that I recall. We found 2 of these so far in this particular camp, and it's like this flat object with these comb structures on it. This one's got 4 of them missing. But that's what they look like. From the distance I could see a couple of white objects in the bush. There's a few tin cans here, and it looks like a broken cup.
Can't see anything around here.
Yeah, okay, could you find out what the white thing was?
Bark.
Rightio.
I have reached the strange shape seen on Google Earth. It is simply a cleared square area with some trees in the middle.
Just a cup.
No, not even any cans up here.
Did you find something?
There's steel on the bottom.
Oh yeah. No embossing on that one at all.
They're both the same.
J. Basisto, so
Persisto.
Basisto, eucalyptus oil. A few items of interest just over here. Tin cans, or the bottles we found earlier on that were standing up, looked like, well, definitely someone had been here, but it appears it might have been quad bike guy because we found his tracks. And here's something interesting. A window frame, still with glass in it. Old lamp. Bottle of magnesium with magnesium still inside it. Just picked up a little brass doorknob. What you got?
Curry powder.
Well, let's have a look. Smells like sand. This is sometimes how little treasures are found. Don't know what it says. Bisulfated magnesium. So it's a little milk of magnesia bottle.
I don't know what they are.
Pick it up. That's a.
There's nothing on them. They're unmarked.
$100-year-old pickles. 2 dots on the bottom. Join. It's a very nice bottle. If anybody wants it,
Just here.
it's just here. Right next door to a broken purple bottle. Yeah, so someone has been in here and they brought a vehicle in. It would have been hard work doing that, because as far as we can tell there aren't any car tracks to drive on around here. Good as gold Davidson pickles bottle. Would have been a nice colour with a beautiful blue on it. And a Bovril bottle. Also looks like there's a piece of an old record.
Money box. Old Commonwealth money box.
Does it say Commonwealth Bank on it?
Well, it's writing in the front there, but I remember them.
Hmm.
And the top had the slit. And
Slot.
open it up.
Yep, just what we used to do.
Yeah. And this? Nothing in it.
Nice little tin.
Yeah.
Looks like it had another life at some stage.
You know what that is?
Ned Kelly's hood.
Yeah. And that bastard went and stole the money out of the money box.
Hmm. Put it on.
No.
The real thrill of coming out here is not finding the old treasures and stuff. It's actually finding the camp location. Having worked out on a map how to get here and then navigating to it 3k through the bush. It's some of the most remote place in the world. And here we are, we still find it. And love these old bottles. Whoa, I think I can see stuff way up there and over there. This is a particularly big camp.
This is camp goes on for a long way.
Yeah, it does. How far away are you?
Where are you guys at?
Hoo-wee!
I'm just in front of you, 50 metres.
Looks like a big olive oil thing there. But it might not have been. Might have come something different. Nozzle on the top.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
I think this is the railway track going straight ahead that way.
I think I've come to the end of it up here.
Tin made in Western Australia. Wow. Still wandering through the bush at this campsite we've just discovered. Not the first ones here, obviously. It's a real thrill to be able to walk through the bush using navigation skills and maps, and having done the research to be able to get to these locations, because we are in some of the most remote places on the earth. Except now that Captain Starlink has come and we can do a lot more checking once we're at base camp. This camp is actually quite extensive. There's cans and bottles going for hundreds of metres. And what I find is really interesting, you can always prove when you're not the first, other than the fact they've got bottles standing up. Someone's gone out of the way to
Still
put...
finding stuff in there?
Yep, someone's gone out of the way to put a lantern on the tree.
And further over there, Billy's on a tree.
Really? The car tracks through here again. Very narrow tyres, look like old 750 by 16s. Hate to drive through here, you'd be getting flat tyres all the time. Other things you find out here, the WD and HO wheels, tobacco tins. This one's in quite good nick. Just found a piece of a shoe with studs in it. And a very tiny button. So here's an unusual bottle.
What is it?
It's a whiskey bottle.
Oh, yeah.
Watson's number 10 whiskey. Never seen one before, I don't think.
Don't sit down. I know you're fucked.
Yes, I know. I'm going to have to get some physical aid to lift me up.
While I sit down to plot the next leg, take a look at where we are. The bottom left of the map is the old Hyden to Norseman Road, and the top right is Sunday Soak. We have driven up the northeasterly track and our camp is at point 1. We have walked to the strange shape at point 2, which turns out is a woodline camp. And we are going to navigate to point 3, which is another camp where I left a purple coloured jar last year.
A lamppost. So that's a lamppost. Bottles in there.
Right, Blue Jar Camp.
Which way?
Or just, are we confirmed that's the choice?
How far back to camp? 5 k's. 3.22.
Well, it's roughly 3 k's that way,
Yeah.
and then roughly 3 k's that way. So it's like a triangle.
So that's like 20 k's all up.
Yeah.
3 marker metres.
Oh. So this creek clearly shows on Google Earth, and it goes down there, and we can see the roller line formation over there, and where a bridge once used to be, or a culvert.
That's the way we've got to go, isn't it?
And that's the direction of the track there. Yeah. So we're going to go and find another camp, but it's along this roller line, but the roller line does a curve, so that camp is actually over that way. And that's the direction I'm heading. Yep. Good as gold. There bees another bottle there. And tin cans.
Seeing these items indicates that we have reached the camp that I had previously called the Blue Jar Camp.
A coop. We've just walked through the bush about 3.6 kilometres and I navigated by compass bearing and we got to what we call our Blue Jar Camp. It's a blue jar that I left behind last time we were here, and then when I got back Julie was quite keen on seeing it, so I'm trying to find it again. This is one of the places we did stop at last time. Stephen's put bottles out. There's a fly spray and mincer and also the locks for a case, and one of the case catches is still closed. Don't often find these. This is the lid off one of those wide mouth pickles jars. Stephen and Paul are over there. They reckon they found the blue bottle, blue jar. And just for interest sake, I found this really cool Ainsley's whiskey bottle. Oh yeah, that's it. That be's it. So this is what we came back for. That blue jar for Julie.
3.5 kilometres.
No, we didn't. We walked
Oh, don't fucking tell me. 3.5 marker meters.
3.6.
The bottle is always property of the Robur Tea Company.
Robur. Remember that. A few lumps of rower line here. Those bottles stood up. We didn't do that. That way.
And so begins the long trudge back to our camp. We are going to head towards the main track and then down that to our own camp. It is nearly 3 kilometres to that track, and once we reach that, another 1 kilometre to our home camp. It was a pretty tough walk the day before. We'd had a pretty late lunch and I had a snooze in the afternoon, and this morning is Paul's last day on this trip. It is only when you look at our location from above that you can truly appreciate how isolated we are in this vast state. Most times we don't see or hear another vehicle the entire time we are here, and if we muck it up, then we have to fix our issue by ourselves. As Paul departs, Steve and I begin to plan our next couple of days' travel. We won't hear from Paul again until after he arrives in Perth and we have set up Starlink later that night.
This was our camp for a couple of days and we're going to head off shortly, but before we do, the skinny one and I are going to go across the road over there and look for a bit of railway line. This little burrow's in use. You can see there's a lot more animal tracks around here and they're quite fresh. This is the actual line of the railway line. Two ways I can tell, slight formation here and quad bike guys been through there. And this section here is a fair bit more obvious. You can see the line of the track goes up that way and you can almost see where the impressions of the sleepers were once. This section of track hooks up to the section where we were, where we found that purple jar.
I think he's
Dead?
No, I think he might have been spider food. Look,
Yeah, okay.
I'm not playing with that.
Is that the lid you reckon?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it is.
It's not moving, but Oh yeah. That's the lid. Pretty strong lid, so
He's home.
I think he'll be home.
We pulled up at Sunday Soak, and here's a grave marker that Stephen and I put up with Donna and Julie probably nearly 9 years ago, still there, and someone else has put up a more recent one in 2013. Anyway, the graves are over here.
In December of 1895, these two men were on their way from the Norseman area to Coolgardie to cash a cheque for a mine they had just sold. They missed the water at Sunday Soak, but continued on without water and subsequently died of thirst.
And they've been marked by outback graves. Not sure how they identified who was in what grave though.
Lack of water and dehydration still kills people in the bush these days. It is one thing we never take for granted.
They would have been excited going back to Kalgoorlie or Coolgardie to get gold.
Yep.
Our last exploration stop was an old gold mine near a place called Frank's Find. We wandered around for a little bit, but then it was time to head off back to Perth.
Gold.
Stay tuned for our next exciting adventure back in the bush.
1947.